Evening everybody. Well, tonight we're going to take a look at solving quadratics by finding the square roots. Make sure you've got your notebooks out, you've got your pencils ready, and I think you guys are really going to go bananas about how easy it is to solve these kind of problems and how excited you'll be when you find these kind of quadratics. So let's get started. So as we've already learned, when we solve a quadratic, first of all we need to put it in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And we need to make the y equal to 0. And so before we ever get anything started, I've been telling you that I need you to set it up like this. Well, there is one situation where we actually will do the opposite of that, and this is the situation. If you find a ax squared plus c where my b is 0, then I'm going to ask you to do something slightly different. First of all, let's take a look at what that parabola is going to look like. If my b is 0, where is my axis of symmetry? And I hope you told me that your axis of symmetry was going to be right down the y-axis. And so depending upon whether or not your a is positive or negative, your parabola is going to open up or down. So our solutions will be equidistant from the vertex, as we already know, but our solutions will always be equidistant from the y-axis. Okay, so when we see this type of particular situation, we're going to get excited, and let me share with you exactly why we're going to get excited. So let's take a look at an example here. We have y equals x squared minus 16. Oh, I don't have a b. Set it equal to 0. X squared minus 16, and in this particular case I'm going to add 16 to both sides, and with your permission I'm just going to rewrite that over here. X squared equals 16. Well, we don't want to find out what x squared is, we want to find out what x is. Well, how do you take x squared and bring it down to x? Well, if we take the square root, the square root of x squared is x. And if we do one thing on one side, we have to do one thing on the other side. And this is very important. How many solutions are we going to have with this graph? Well, we're going to have the square root of 16, which is positive 4, and the square root of 16, which is also negative 4. And when you get into school tomorrow, you can plug this into your calculator, and you can see that the solutions in your calculator are still at plus and minus 4. Well, how about this? We have 0 equals 4x squared minus 25. I'm going to add 25 to both sides. And so I have 4x squared equals 25. And now, again, I still want to get this x squared on its own. Now you have two choices here. You can either A, divide by 4, and have x squared equals 25 over 4. And then take the square root of both sides. Square root of x squared is x. The square root of 25 over 4 is simply the square root of 25 over the square root of 4. So you could do that, or if you desired, you could take the square root of 4x squared. Square root of 4x squared is 2x. The square root of 25 is 5, and then we can divide by 2, and we end up with the same answer of x equals 5 over 2. Okay, and the last problem here, still set it equal to 0, 3x squared minus 27, but hopefully you recognize that there's a GCF there, and I can actually pull out 3 times x squared minus 9. I can divide both sides by 3. 0 divided by 3 is still 0. And now I'm left with x squared minus 9 equals 0. X squared equals 9. Square root of 9. Square root of x squared. X equals plus or minus 3. And remember from the video last night, which Mr. Deitch had you watch, or I had you watch Mr. Deich's video, you can always plug your answer right back into the original equation to see if it works. 3 squared is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 minus 27 is 0. Okay? So, very easy. When there's no b, we're going through. But there's one critical point you need to make sure you understand. And this is it. Make sure that this is minus. Okay, we'll set this equal to 0. We have 9x squared plus 16. I'm going to move this onto the other side. And now I have negative 16 equals 9x squared. Take the square root of this and the square root of that. Do we have a square root of a negative number? What times itself will give me negative 16? Well, that certainly won't work. And negative 4 times negative 4 certainly won't give me negative 16. So be very careful here. If this says plus, you cannot use this method. In fact, if we were to graph this, we know that our y-intercept is at 16, and we know that this opens up. So how many solutions do we have? 0. Okay. Alright, so your turn. I want you to solve these problems. I want you to pause, and then once you've solved them, I want you to hit restart. Go ahead, pause, solve them first. Alright. Now hopefully you did okay on this one. It's very straightforward, easy, just like the examples we've done. So that should be straightforward. This one you can see we took the square root of the 9x squared and got 3x, the square root of the 25 and got 5. And then we finished up by solving for x by dividing by 3 on both sides. This we took out the GCF. So that was 7, and then x squared minus 7. We divided 7 by both sides, and we're left with x squared minus 7 equals 0. And I give you this example because here we have x squared equals 7. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of 7, the only thing we know about the square root of 7 is it's the square root of 7. So we just write plus or minus the square root of 7. Okay, let's do one more word problem, and then we'll be done for the night. So, Trevor drops a rock from a bridge 256 feet in the air. The height of the rock versus time is modeled by the equation y equals negative 16x squared plus 256. And maybe you're starting to see a relationship between the initial height of the object and what our c number is always. How long will it take for the rock to hit the water? Well, of course we could put this into the calculator, but tonight our lesson is planning or solving by using square roots. So when the rock hits the water, the height is 0. So 0 equals negative 16x squared plus 256. I'm going to add 16x squared to both sides, and I have 16x squared equals 256. And you have two ways of doing this. I recognize that the whole thing is divisible by 16, but let's just take the square root first. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Square root of 16x squared, square root of 16 is 4, square root of x squared is x, square root of 256 is 16. Divide everything by 4, and we end up with x equals plus or minus, I should have put the plus or minus here, 4. Now, how long will it take the rock to hit the water? Well, the rock was on the bridge and fell something like this. The time it took, it was at 256 feet, and by the time it hit the water, it was at 0 feet. This time right here was 4 seconds. So our answer is 4 seconds. And this is where we have to break away the math from the real world and say, what is the real world answer? Well, it's certainly not plus or minus 4 seconds. It's 4 seconds. Okay, well I hope that was a pretty straightforward video for you. We'll have plenty of chance to practice in class tomorrow. If you did struggle a little bit, go back and rewatch the video again. Go back and take a look at some of the problems and see if you can do them one more time. Until tomorrow, good night.